Bro, we need to talk right now. Did Ayanokoji really just casually one-tap the student council president? We've spent multiple seasons watching Nagumo get built up as this untouchable king, the psychological mastermind who has the entire school in the palm of his hand, and he just gets completely folded in episode 15? It's 2 a.m. I literally just finished Classroom of the Elite Season 4, and my mind is absolutely blown. This was absolute cinema. But to understand why this happened, why Ayana Koji was so brutally cold, we need to go back. There is a massive hidden detail about Ayana Koji's exact dialogue leading up to that punch that most viewers completely missed because they were too blinded by the hype.
Okay, let's really dive into this, because seeing Nagumo just drop face first into the dirt was deeply satisfying, but there is so much more to it than just Ayanokoji flexing his physical stats. That punch was a direct, unavoidable consequence of everything building up over the last 12 days on the island. Every single piece on the board moved to create that specific, inevitable climax. But more importantly, the words Ayanokoji uses right after completely recontextualize his entire character arc for this exam. Just as a quick reminder, Ayanokoji has been the ultimate target of a massive 20 million point bounty placed on his head by the first years. That insane bounty mobilized their entire roster, setting up these desperate final hours of the island exam where almost everyone is gunning for him to secure the bag. And that brings us to the rising action of the episode, starting with Sake Yanagi. The first years, completely orchestrated by Tsubaki, mobilize 5 massive groups moving north to C4 and B5, completely ignoring their own exam areas just to hunt down Ayanokoji. But Sake Yanagi pulls the ultimate mastermind move to block them, and we really need to look at her psychology here. Sake Yanagi wants everyone to think she is just playing a casual game of chess. She acts like this is effortless, but what she actually feels is this fierce, possessive rivalry over Ayanokoji. She fears losing her ultimate rival to a bunch of unworthy first years. So what does she do? She cashes in massive political capital, mobilizing students from Class A all the way down to Class D to create a perfect, impenetrable blockade. It cost her resources and favors, but man, she proves her absolute authority. It brilliantly illustrates the difference in their levels. Think about Tsubaki's perspective for a second. Tsubaki desperately wants the school to think she is the ultimate shadow mastermind. She thought she had Sake Yanagi's groups pinned down and figured out. But you have to reframe that in your head. What seemed like a trap for Sake Yanagi was actually Sake Yanagi trapping them. She shatters Tsubaki's illusion completely. She looks Kito dead in the eye and reveals the brutal reality. She didn't get caught by the first years at all. She used her coalition to lure them in with groups that just looked like they were protecting Ayanokoji, effectively turning the hunters into the hunted. Tsubaki's greatest fear of being irrelevant literally just came true. The board is moving crazy fast now, and the chaos is spreading. We briefly see Utomiya step in to intercept Kito just to protect Tsubaki's failing plan, proving he'll do whatever it takes to salvage the situation. But the absolute wildest interception in episode 15 is Hosen finally finding Ayanokoji, only for Ryuen to show up out of literally nowhere. And here's the thing that is so absurd, it's actually brilliant. Ryuen didn't just stumble upon them. Ayanokoji literally hired him as a mercenary. He paid his former mortal enemy to be his bodyguard. It perfectly highlights how Ayanokoji views human connections right now. Everything, even bad blood, is purely transactional. Bro, Ryuen facing down Hosen is insane. Imagine being in Ryuen's position right now. You're standing in front of a literal gorilla who shrugs off stab wounds and punches like they are absolutely nothing. Ryuen wants everyone to think he is a fearless tyrant who backs down from nobody. But if Ryuen fails here, if he takes this beating and goes down, expulsion is genuinely on the table for him. His true fear right now is losing his spot at the school, so he throws away his ego. It costs him his pride, but he brings in Ishizaki and Albert for a brutal 3-on-1 ambush. His philosophy is pure survival. It doesn't matter how ugly the process is, the last man standing is the winner. To him, Ayanokoji's bounty is just business, but surviving Hosen, that is personal. Okay, but while all these massive fights are breaking out, we get this single midpoint shift that changes the entire trajectory of this episode. And it all stems from a broken watch. Yes, this is the moment most viewers might just brush past as bad luck, but the sheer destiny of it is crazy. Ichino's watch broke, forcing her to return to the starting point. What seemed like a massive handicap was actually the key to saving Ayanokoji. Because she was heading back, she overheard acting director Tsukishiro and Shiba explicitly planning to bury Ayanokoji at Area I-2. Imagine the sheer terror she felt. The adults running the exam are conspiring to expel the boy she loves.
which leads to her desperately running through the forest to warn him, risking her own exam score and physical exhaustion. She tells him the plan, he casually says he has to go to I2 anyway, and then she finally drops it. I like you. The raw emotional weight of this scene is incredible. She lays her entire heart on the line, but look closely at Ayanokoji's reaction. He acts surprised, but his eyes remain completely cold and calculating. He tells her he can't give her an answer right now. Low-key, think about the future implications of this. Is he genuinely sparing her feelings until the exam is over, or is he deliberately keeping her on a string to ensure she remains a loyal pawn next season? The psychological toll this delayed answer will take on her mental state is absolutely terrifying. But Ayanokoji genuinely does not have time to dwell on romance, because as he's rushing to I2, he gets intercepted by Nagumo. And this initiates the climax of the episode, and the contrast here is just hilarious. It's the ultimate clash of internal monologues. Paint the picture of Nagumo's mindset right now. He thinks he is in a shonen anime final battle. He wants the glory, he wants the 20 million points, and he wants everyone to know he is the undisputed king of the school. He is demanding a real fight. But Ayanokoji's reality? Nagumo is literally just a pop-up ad blocking his screen. Ayanokoji says, "I'm in a hurry." He isn't trying to be cool. He genuinely sees Nagumo as an annoying bug blocking the path to the real final boss at I2. He just does not care. And then it happens. Nagumo refuses to move. His ego cannot handle being ignored. So Ayanokoji drops him with one punch. He folds him completely. Nagumo is cooked. And as Nagumo falls, Ayanokoji drops the coldest line of the series. Didn't you understand when I said discipline? Here is the massive hidden detail most viewers missed. Ayanokoji wasn't just dropping an edgy one-liner. This was a direct callback to an earlier conversation they had. Ayanokoji verbally warned Nagumo to back off days ago, but Nagumo's arrogance prevented him from processing those words. Because Nagumo couldn't understand a verbal warning, Ayanokoji had to physically format his brain. It was literal discipline. The visual symbolism right after is peak fiction. Nagumo is left unconscious, face down in the dirt, and his radio rings. His team is desperately asking for the next instructions on how to deal with Koenji, and there is just dead air. It perfectly symbolizes his total loss of control over the island. The third-year hierarchy is shattered. The so-called king is dead, and his followers are left listening to absolute silence. Which changes the entire landscape of the exam. Nagumo's blockade is gone, but the real nightmare is just beginning. Ayanokoji is now heading directly into the final showdown with Tsukishiro at Area I2. The stakes have literally never been higher, because Ayanokoji's plot armor is about to be violently tested. He isn't fighting arrogant students anymore. Tsukishiro is an adult, an acting director, and he has Shiba with him. They're the ones who make the rules and control the grading rubric. Ayanokoji's is walking straight into a trap where expulsion isn't just a threat. It is an absolute guarantee if he makes even one wrong move. We are at the absolute peak of the island exam. How do you outsmart the people who literally own the game board? Drop your theories below, subscribe to Zero Anime, and I'll see you in the next one.